Change can arrive in chapters, or it can arrive in waves. Sometimes careers shift faster than people can plan. Roles evolve, skills expire, social norms blur. What once defined a person can disappear almost overnight. In the middle of all this movement, many experience something difficult to name: a quiet loss of identity. Identity loss doesn't always come from failure. Often it comes from transition. A job ends, a role changes, a phase of life closes. The label that once anchored self-worth no longer fits. When identity has been tied too tightly to function, what you do, what you provide, how you are perceived, its removal leaves uncertainty in its place. This can feel destabilizing. Without familiar reference points, people may feel invisible or irrelevant. Confidence wavers. Direction feels unclear. The question of "who am I now?" lingers beneath daily routines. This experience is more common than many admit, especially in a world that consistently reinvents itself. Modern culture often rewards adaptability, but rarely acknowledges its emotional cost. Reinvention is praised, but the grief of letting go is overlooked. People are expected to pivot quickly, rebrand themselves, and move forward without pause. Yet identity is not something that updates instantly. It requires integration. It needs time. Identity loss can also occur when external expectations shift faster than internal values. What once felt meaningful may no longer align with who you are becoming. This creates tension, not because something is wrong, but because growth is underway. Discomfort often signals that an old identity has reached its limit. The challenge is that uncertainty feels unsafe. Humans seek definition. Labels provide stability. When those labels dissolve, many rush to replace them, adopting new identities before understanding what truly matters now. This can lead to confusion, burnout, or a sense of emptiness that persists despite change. Rebuilding identity begins with separating self from role. You are not your title, productivity, or past success. Those are expressions, not essence. Identity rooted solely in external validation is fragile. Identity grounded in values, character, and principles endures change. Periods of identity loss invite reflection. What remains when familiar structures fall away? What values persist regardless of circumstance? What qualities do you carry into every season of life? These questions don't demand immediate answers. Their purpose is to create awareness. Identity also evolves through experience, not declaration. You don't decide who you are all at once. You discover it through choices made under uncertainty, through how you respond to challenge, through what you protect, pursue, and practice consistently. A changing world doesn't require a fixed identity. It requires a flexible one, anchored by meaning. Stability comes not from clinging to who you were, but from trusting who you're becoming. In that space, something more aligned can form. Not louder, not performative, but honest. Losing a version of yourself can feel unsettling, but it also frees you from definitions that no longer fit. And in a world that never stops changing, the ability to rebuild from within becomes one of the most important strengths a person can develop. Kindness is often spoken as something we give to others, like a gesture, a word, a moment of patience when it would be easier to rush or judge. And while kindness towards others matters deeply, it's often the kindness we extend to ourselves that determines how we move through the world. Most people are far harder on themselves than they would ever be on someone they care. They replay mistakes long after the moment has passed. They criticize their own efforts, question their worth, and measure themselves by impossible standards. In doing so, they forget that growth was never meant to be harsh. It was meant to be human. Being kind to yourself does not mean lowering expectations or avoiding responsibility. It means recognizing effort, even when the outcome falls short. It means allowing room to learn without turning every misstep into a verdict on your character. Self-kindness is not indulgence, it is sustainability. We understand this instinctively when it comes to others. When someone we care about struggles, we offer understanding. We remind them that progress takes time. We encourage them to keep going. Rarely do we tell them they are broken or unworthy because they stumbled. Yet internally, many people speak to themselves in ways they would never speak out loud to anyone else. Kindness toward yourself begins with awareness. It starts by noticing the tone of your inner voice and asking whether it's helping or harming. Judgment rarely produces growth. Compassion paired with honesty does. When you treat yourself with kindness, you create an environment where improvement feels possible rather than overwhelming. This doesn't mean ignoring difficult truths. Kindness can be firm. It can acknowledge what needs to change without turning that realization into self-attack. You can hold yourself accountable while still respecting your own humanity. In fact, accountability rooted in kindness is far more effective than discipline rooted in shame. The way you treat yourself in private shapes how you show up in public. When you practice self-kindness, patience naturally extends outward. You become more understanding of others' struggles because you have learned to honor your own. Kindness becomes less of an effort and more of a reflection of how you live. There will be days when kindness feels difficult, especially after disappointment, failure, or unmet expectations. Those are the moments when it matters most. Kindness in those moments is not about pretending everything is fine. It's about allowing yourself to be imperfect without withdrawing care. Life moves quickly. It rarely pauses to let you catch up. Being kind to yourself is a way of slowing down internally, of reminding yourself that progress is not erased by a single hard day. It's a way of choosing patience over pressure, understanding over criticism. Kindness does not make you weaker, it makes you steadier. It allows you to continue rather than collapse. It keeps you engaged with your own growth instead of turning away from it. And perhaps most importantly, kindness reminds you that you are worthy of the same care you so freely offer others. Not because you have everything figured out, but because you're still trying. When kindness becomes part of how you treat yourself, the world feels less demanding and more navigable. You begin to move forward not through force, but through respect. And in that quiet shift, everything changes. Adversity has a way of showing up when we least expect it. Because one moment life feels steady, predictable, maybe even peaceful, and then something shifts. A challenge appears, a door closes, a setback knocks the wind out of you. And in that moment, it's easy to believe the story your mind begins to whisper, which is, maybe this just isn't for me. Maybe the universe is telling me no. Maybe I'm not supposed to have this dream. But adversity is not the universe saying you can't have it. It's simply asking you, how badly do you want it? So there's nothing unfair about struggle. There's nothing personal about it because every single person will have seasons of difficulty. Not because they were unworthy, not because they were unlucky, but because adversity is a test of alignment. It's a test of desire. It's a test of persistence. You don't face challenges because you're weak. You face challenges because you're being shaped. Adversity forces you to slow down and decide, do I really want this? And if I do, am I willing to grow into the version of myself who can carry it? Because the life you want, the one you imagine, the one you feel deep in your bones, it doesn't come to the version of you who exists right now. It comes to the version of you who is willing to push through the doubt, the fear and discomfort. It comes to the version of you who refuses to let adversity define the story. If everything you wanted came easily, would you ever develop strength? Would you ever learn resilience? Would you ever find out what you're truly capable of? Adversity isn't punishment, it's preparation. And sometimes that preparation hurts. Sometimes it feels heavy. Sometimes it feels unfair. Because there will be moments you question yourself. There will be days when giving up feels like the simplest, most reasonable option. And that's okay, that's human. It doesn't make you weak, it makes you real. But here's what adversity doesn't do. It doesn't last forever. And it doesn't define your worth. The storm you're facing right now is temporary. The confusion is temporary. The frustration is temporary. Even the fear, that's temporary too. Life moves in cycles. No season stays forever. And just because the ground feels shaky today doesn't mean it won't be solid again tomorrow. Sometimes what feels like everything falling apart is actually everything falling into place. Just not in the way you expected. Adversity teaches you to shift, to adapt, to bend without breaking. It teaches you to find strength you didn't know you had. It teaches you that even in the darkest moments, you're capable of holding on to a small, steady light inside yourself. And maybe the most important thing adversity teaches is that you are not alone. Everyone is fighting something. Everyone is carrying something. Everyone is navigating their own silent battles. And even if your struggle feels invisible to the world, it matters. You matter. The weight you're carrying is real, and you don't have to pretend it doesn't exist. Adversity isn't a closed door, it's an invitation. It's just a question. It's a moment asking, how deeply does this matter to you? And if it matters even a little, then hold on. Keep breathing, keep walking. Let the storm shape you, not stop you. Let the challenge stretch you, not break you. Let the setback clarify your purpose, not steal it. We are all stronger than the adversity we're facing. We're all bigger than the obstacle in front of us. And this moment, whatever it is just that, a moment. Temporary, passing, transforming. Whatever storm you're in, you'll get through it. You will rise again, and when you do, you'll understand that adversity wasn't the universe saying no. It was simply asking you, how badly do you want it? Trauma touches every single one of us. It doesn't always wear the same face, but it leaves its fingerprints. Maybe it came from a childhood where love felt conditional. Maybe it was the betrayal in a relationship you thought would last forever. Maybe it was the sudden loss of someone you loved, or the quiet, constant weight of never feeling like you're enough. Trauma has many doors it walks through, like abuse, neglect, heartbreak, failure, addiction, and once inside, it settles deep. But many of us don't want to face it. We try to hide our scars or suppress our emotions. But when we don't heal, we don't just hurt ourselves, we hurt others. We bleed on the people who never cut us. We pass on patterns we swore we'd break. The anger we bury finds its way into our tone with our loved ones. And the pain we suppress shows up as distance with our partner. The shame we carry keeps us from fully stepping into our friendships, our careers, our lives. Not healing doesn't make the trauma go away. It just buries it like a landmine, waiting. And every time stress, disappointment, or conflict enters our lives, that landmine explodes. It may look like anger, it may look like withdrawal, it may look like perfectionism, control, or self-sabotage. But underneath it all, it's that wound still open, still bleeding. How many times have you seen someone lash out in a way that didn't make sense? Or the opposite, they shut down completely when the world asked for their presence. That's trauma talking. That's unhealed pain running the show. And if we're not careful, if we don't take responsibility for our healing, we'll pass it on to our children, our partners, our friends, our co-workers. Pain becomes generational, not because it's chosen, but because it's unacknowledged. So what's the alternative? It's healing. Now, healing doesn't mean erasing what happened to you. It doesn't mean pretending it didn't matter or that it didn't hurt. Healing means learning to face it, process it, and choosing not to let it rule your life anymore. It's therapy. It's journaling. It's sitting with the hard feelings instead of numbing them away. It's leaning on trusted people who can support you, not trying to outrun it with busyness or distractions. Healing is work, but it's required work. Because when you choose to heal, you stop the cycle. You stop bleeding on people who never cut you. You stop carrying a story that wasn't yours to begin with, and you open space for love, trust, and growth. Healing starts with you. No one else can do it for you. A relationship won't fix you. A friend's presence won't erase the wound. People can support you, yes, but they cannot carry your healing. That's yours. That's your path. That's your responsibility. So if you're listening to this right now and you know you've been carrying something heavy, something unspoken, maybe unresolved, I want you to hear me. It's okay. Trauma is part of the human experience, but you owe it to yourself and to the people you love to do the work. Because when you heal, you don't just free yourself, you free everyone from you and the hurt you've been carrying. There's a quiet revolution happening all around us, not with signs or protests, but with conversations. It's with courage, with people finally deciding that they're tired of pretending everything's okay when it's not. This is the mental health revolution. And if you're seeing or hearing this, you're already a part of it. See, for generations, we were taught to push our feelings down, to tough it out, to man up and smile through the pain. We were told that struggle was weakness, that emotions made us fragile, that seeking help was somehow shameful. But the world is changing, and thank goodness for that. Today, strength looks different. Strength is being honest about your pain. Strength is raising your hand and saying, I'm not okay. Strength is going to therapy, journaling through the darkness, getting out of bed on the hard days, and doing whatever it takes to heal. We're finally realizing that mental health is health, and that our emotional well-being is just as important as our physical fitness. You train your body, why wouldn't you train your mind? You fuel your body with nutrition, why wouldn't you fuel your soul with peace, boundaries, and self-respect? Life is heavy sometimes, and we all carry things others can't see. Some carry trauma. For others, it's anxiety. Some are battling depression behind closed doors, showing up every day with a smile that hides the pain. But in this revolution, we stop hiding. We stop pretending. We stop suffering in silence. Because silence is what kept us sick. Silence is what kept us stuck. And silence is what made too many believe they were alone. But not anymore. Now we speak. Now we normalize healing. Now we check in on each other. Not just when things fall apart, but all the time. We celebrate therapy the same way we celebrate personal records in the gym. We praise vulnerability the way we used to praise being emotionless. We say "me too" instead of "man up." This revolution doesn't belong to one generation, one gender, or one group. It's for everyone. And yes, it's uncomfortable at times. Growth always is. But healing begins where comfort ends. If you're struggling right now, let me be the one to tell you, you're not weak. You're human. And you are not broken. See, you don't need to be fixed. You need to be heard. You need space to feel. You need time to process. You need tools to cope. And you deserve all of it. No more shame, no more guilt, no more hiding behind busyness or burying yourself in distractions. Face the truth, feel the pain, and then take one step forward, even if it's small. Maybe for you, healing means finally booking that therapy session. Maybe it means cutting ties with people who drain your energy. Maybe it means choosing sleep over stress. Maybe it means saying no more often. Whatever it is, trust that it matters. The mental health revolution is here, not as a trend, but as a movement. Not as a quick fix, but as a new standard of how we treat ourselves and each other. You deserve peace. You deserve clarity. You deserve to be seen, heard, and safe in your own skin and in your own story. Let's keep pushing forward together. Let's rewrite the rules. Let's raise the standard. Let's make mental health part of every success story. Because true success isn't just about what you achieve, it's about how you feel while achieving it. When you're healing, recovery is not a straight line. It doesn't follow a schedule, and it definitely doesn't move at the speed we want it to. You see, healing moves in waves. One day you feel like you're finally turned the corner. You're smiling again, laughing again, maybe even feeling hopeful about the future. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, a wave crashes over you. An old memory resurfaces, a trigger shows up, a wave of sadness hits, and you find yourself wondering if you've made any progress at all. But you're not back at the beginning, that's the illusion. Just because you feel the pain again doesn't mean you haven't made progress. It means you're still healing. It means there are layers to your growth, layers that can't be rushed, skipped, or ignored. We've been taught to treat healing like a race, like something you need to hurry through, something to get over. But healing isn't something you get over, it's something you move through. Think about a physical wound, like a broken bone or a deep cut. You don't just slap a bandage on it and expect it to be better in the morning. It takes time, it takes patience, and sometimes it hurts more than it hurts less. It's the same with emotional wounds. You can't heal from heartbreak, betrayal, loss, or trauma by pretending it didn't happen. You can't force yourself to feel okay just because it's been long enough. Healing doesn't follow a calendar. What it does follow is your willingness to show up, even on the hard days, even when the tears return, even when you feel like you've taken 2 steps back. Showing up matters. Sitting with your feelings instead of pushing them away matters. Taking a breath and staying with yourself in those moments of pain, that's part of the healing. Healing isn't about pretending to be fine. It's about being real with where you are, while still believing in where you're going. Some days you'll feel strong. Other days you'll feel fragile, and both are valid. Both are part of the path. The key is to stop judging yourself for how you feel. Stop comparing your healing to someone else's. There is no one-size-fits-all. There is no universal timeline. And there's no shame in not being over it yet. If you've ever felt like you're weak because you still cry about it, or you still get anxious about it, or you still struggle to talk about it, let this be your reminder. You are not weak, you are brave. You're doing the work, whether others can see it or not. And the work doesn't always look like progress. Sometimes it looks like choosing not to numb out, choosing to rest instead of run, choosing to feel instead of shut down. You are healing every time you choose compassion over criticism, every time you give yourself permission to rest, every time you speak kindly to yourself in the tough times. So if you're in the thick of it right now, if you're somewhere between falling apart and holding it together, remember this. You're not broken, you're becoming. You're learning how to live with a deeper sense of self-awareness, strength, and resilience. And that takes time. You are allowed to heal slowly. You are allowed to revisit old wounds. You are allowed to feel better today and worse tomorrow and still be making progress. Because healing isn't linear. But every breath, every tear, every honest moment, it all adds up. And one day you'll look back and realize you didn't just survive, you transformed.